Guys, welcome back to the Custard Splat. This is the first episode of the season where we're actually talking about some games that have been played. So we've got three results to go over. We've got Altrincham 1, Southend 3, Southend 1, Scunthorpe 0, and Solihull 1, Southend United 3. We are 3 from 3 to kick off the season. We've got another game tonight at home to Kidderminster. Big game under the lights. Always that big match feel under the lights at Roots Hall. Now, Ollie is away on paternity leave, so congratulations to Ollie and his new family. I've got Scott alongside me for the first time this season. As I say, we've actually got some footy to talk about, Scott. Now, you are going to be much better equipped at this episode than me because I'll put it quite bluntly, you've seen all three games so far live. I haven't seen any. I haven't been to a game yet this season. Two away games. I don't tend to get to a great deal of away games anymore. And the first home game of the season was my daughter's birthday. I've watched everything on DAZN, not quite the same as being there. So, Scott, first up, Altrincham away, first game of the season,
Yeah,
albeit a couple of weeks ago now. But what can you remember from that one?
yeah, it was very, very pleasing in the end. But it was a weird sort of one because speaking to some of the guys like in the journey up there or the pub before the game, and it was a weird sort of thing. I don't know if we spoke about it in the pre-season at all. Sort of a lot of not disconnection, but a lot of supporters sort of having that connection to the old manager and the old group of players and the whole off the field change, the huge overhaul on the pitch as well. And first game of the season, you can never know what you're going to see from players and the group of players that you did know, let alone, and obviously you don't really know what the opposition are going to throw at you as well. But yeah, I mean, it was a very sort of shaky start, and you could sort of tell players were finding their feet a little bit. Altrincham did take the lead that game, but yeah, once we sort of got the equaliser, and especially the second half when we made them changes just before the hour mark, we just sort of blew them away. And our options off the bench were far superior to Altrinham's, and could have been a lot more. But 3 goals and 3 points away from home on the opening day is, as a lot of fans have mentioned, a notorious unhappy hunting ground for us. Not very
Yeah, we don't have a good record there at all.
not at all. So it's with a new group of players falling 1-0 behind to come away with that convincing performance only heightened the excitement, obviously rolling into the first game of the season against Scunthorpe.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of nervous energy, I think would be the fairest way to put it going into that Altrincham game. I don't want to use the word uncertainty because we've come through a very decent pre-season period by that point. I was very impressed with what I'd seen in pre-season.
Mm.
But yeah, you're right. There's nothing quite like that first official game of the season to get us up and running. And I think I'm right in saying, including the substitutes that come on that day, I think we might have had up to 11 or even 12 debutants that day. So that alone just highlights the huge summer of change that we had. And yeah, I think just going back to that nervous energy probably didn't help when we go 1-0 down after 7 minutes.
No,
But I think what I have seen from this new squad so far is we don't panic. And certainly so early on. I mean, never mind so early on in the game. It's so early on in the season, isn't it? But I've not seen a moment yet where we've looked particularly flustered. I think we look like a group of players that already like trust each other. Naturally, you're going to take time to gel, but that's what pre-season's for. So there's an element of that already taken place, and that hopefully is going to continue to go from strength to strength. What I was impressed with most in the Altrincham game before the subs that really sort of took us up a gear was our game management, which was something that, listen, I don't, you're obviously going to, still in the early stages of this season and the early stages of Kieron Dyer's Southend United, you are going to naturally draw a few comparisons to last year. But I personally, I don't want that to become a theme this season where we keep going back to making a comparison to last season. We've got the first game of the season, we've got to address it in some way, shape, or form. There were moments last season that our game management was heavily criticised, and we wouldn't overturn like going a goal behind like very early on in the game would kind of set the tone for the game, and we would very, very rarely turn that game around and get something out of it. Never mind 3 points, we'd probably struggle to get 1 point out of that game. So the game management against Altrincham was probably the thing that I was most impressed with.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think as well, the way Dyer's spoken about every individual as well. I think post match there was a lot of sort of comments that Charlie Kendall isn't a winger. I mean, we all know he's not a winger. But again, Dyer used that as a positive and said the sort of work that he put in on the right hand side, running their left back down. So when Kamara and Colclough did come on, it's generally he's sort of trying to use players that even if they didn't perform to their ability or their best, he's bigging them up to sort of use them as squad members to sort of enhance it when obviously the substitutes come on. The groundwork that Kennedy did physically and putting the pressure on the fullback. Obviously, wore the defender down for when Kamara came on to help us kill the game.
Yeah,
and I think that's the sort of. Sorry, Scott. Yeah.
No, go on. You weren't finished. Go on.
Yeah, no, I just think as well there is going to be natural, as you said, natural comparisons because we've been so used to that group and that manager and that style of football for such a long time. So to come in, as you said, it was the mindset that we didn't sort of become flustered. I mean, as you said, 11, 12 debutants that day. Got Coker stepping up into a new captaincy role, and all of a sudden, 7 minutes into a season, you're 1-0 down in front of your travelling supporters. You could quite easily crumble. Do you know what I mean? Could have quite easily have gone the other way. But there was a lot of young lads in that team, obviously, especially Dan Cox playing, obviously McAdam left back, could have quite easily crumbled and gone the other way. But sort of, and forget the goalkeeper, only 19, 20 years of age. So
very young team now.
Yeah, and I think people don't. I think obviously Dyer has said that quite a lot, but with the scatter of experience we've got in there, obviously Daly Campbell, I know he's 25, but he's played less than 50 first team games, I think. So in that sort of aspect, again, he's another sort of novice and unproven at right back. So for them to sort of not get flustered, as you said, not panic, and I think also helps us with very sort of fluid with the formations during the match. We're not setting a rigid formation that we've sort of been accustomed to. He's quite happy to change it up. And even that early on in the season, the first game, and in the first half of that first game, the players looked pretty comfortable to turn it around. And obviously there was only one winner once we sort of got into our flow a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Once we did get the equaliser in that game, and then we capitalised on a horrendous bit of trying to play out from the back, which they actually did that Altrincham in back-to-back games. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It really, really irks me when I see teams doing that you quite clearly do not have the players to play that way. So just stop doing it. But obviously on that particular occasion, it benefited us. So do it once, benefits us, then great. But yeah, they then went and done it again. I can't remember who they played in the second game, but then done it again. I'm not joking. The exact same thing. There's something that I've been very impressed with the way that Kieron Dyer has spoken and sort of handled himself in the media since he's come into the club. But in particular, when he talks about players, I think he's very, very good at quite literally making each individual player feel 10 feet tall. So, and you'll be interesting to see how that continues through the season because you got to keep players happy ultimately that aren't in the team. The players that are in the team are buzzing. They're the easy ones to keep happy to a degree. It's the ones that aren't in the team. So, but using a couple of examples, whenever he's questioned about bringing in another striker, straight away it becomes a case of, yeah, but Harry and Charlie are good strikers too. We're not looking to bring a new striker into the club to replace them. We're looking to bring new players in various different positions to make the whole unit stronger. So I think he's very, very good at handling those potentially difficult questions, which I think it shows for Kieron shows a lot of experience beyond his years in a coaching sense. I know he had a very long playing career, but being the head coach is totally different. You know, the buck stops with you now. Like it's your head on the line if this doesn't go well. And
Work out, yeah.
someone else, yeah. So I think he's always done a very good job at handling that question with not disrespecting Charlie Kendall and Harry Cardwell, and also the way he's talked up Ben Goodliff as well, who towards the end of last season struggled for a bit of form, struggled to get in the sides, was probably a little bit low, like
Yeah,
professionally.
I don't know what your thought. I don't know what your thoughts are on him, Scott. But I think when he first came in on loan, he was a big part in the fact that we made the playoffs in the first place. Chipped him with a few goals. Him and Golden at the back were key to it. Yeah, I know he sort of had a underperformed in the final, and obviously you could probably lay a couple potentially at his door for a couple of the goals. But and last year as well, he was a bit part player last year when he had the red card at Wealdstone in the FA Cup, stop start, came back, and then the red card against Braintree on either Boxing Day or New Year's Day. I can't remember which one it was. He never sort
Yeah.
of, and I think as well there was noise about him that he wasn't good enough, this, that, and the other. But talking to people around the club and supporters as well, you could see pretty early on in pre-season that he was going to be one of, if not the main centre half for us. He seemed to have got a lot of, whether Dyer put a hand round his shoulder in pre-season and picked him up, but I mean, I know we're jumping the gun a bit here, but the Solihull game just passed. He was fantastic. I mean, he was sort of clearing everything. He played a big part in the second goal, starting the move off, and there was obviously on certain fan zones calling him man of the match. So he's getting there. Whether he's a confidence player, I don't know. But obviously, he was really highly thought of at Sutton when he was their captain. He obviously got a move up the road to Colchester. Didn't quite work out there, and he's had a bit of a stop start last 12 months of us. But looking at pre-season onwards in the first three games, he seems like he's one of the first names on that team sheet at the heart of the defence in that back four.
Yeah, he does. He looks a completely different player. I personally feel the shift to a back four massively benefits him. He he never felt like a guaranteed starter for us last season for a number of different things. There's a couple of suspensions thrown in there. I think there was an injury layoff as well. But we may as well use this as the moment to transition into the Scunthorpe game, because first home game, clean sheet, coming into that one, you know, this is the team that, or the club, I don't know how much their team has changed in the close season, but this is the club that done us over in the playoffs last year. So we,
Quite easily as well. I mean, they
yeah,
weren't a great footballing side, but they were well drilled. They were strong, physical. We had no answer. I think that was one of the worst performances I've actually seen under Mayer that night.
yeah, we didn't lay a glove on them. I'll put that quite bluntly. I said it at the time. It was probably the most ruthless. Naturally, I was more emotional after that one than any other game last season, because that was it. That was quite literally season over. So I probably was more ruthless in my assessment with that one than any other game. But looking back on it now with the clarity of the last 4 months, I don't regret anything that I said that night, because it was comfortably our worst performance of the season, and we didn't lay a glove on them.
No,
And we didn't treat that as a sort of cup final that it was. And at no point did I think throw the kitchen sink at this. And ironically, it probably would have been off the bench that night, chucking someone like Ben Goodliff up front and just try and cause
Do
some
that.
havoc.
Yeah.
So we come into this one, that obviously the return fixture, a little bit of revenge. We do get the win. Ben Goodliff is part of the defensive unit that gets a clean sheet that day, but he has a huge part to play in the goal as well. And something that probably was spoken of him last season, maybe during pre-season this season, is he's not a footballer. He's a bit more of an old-fashioned centre back. You know, he'll win his tackles, he'll win his headers, but he had a huge part to play in that opening goal, and looks a very accomplished footballer. I don't mean that. I don't mean that in like a sort
No,
of
no.
taking the piss way. I mean it's sort of it's proving some of the doubters wrong.
Yeah, I mean, especially I think that a bit on comparison was obviously with James Golding last year, who was obviously a footballer in that sort of words. You know what I mean, brought the ball out of defence, and nobody ever really necessarily saw that with Goodliff. But obviously, there's two occasions now, and obviously the Solihull goal at the weekend, the second one, the turn and the pass into midfield. And to be fair to him, he's been spraying the ball around from the back to the fullbacks to the wingers through the middle all season so far, and I think it sort of goes to show there is a footballer in there. And so, as you said, we mean that with the greatest respect. He's normally seen as more of a robust centre half, but
No
yeah,
reason why you can't be both.
no, exactly, yeah, and he's sort of proving that early on. And another one is said we've touched on not regular starters. There was another player, obviously. Leon was never a regular starter in Kev's formation. Whether that was down to fitness, whether he could last the whole hour and everything, but he was another player that since he's come in, Kieron Dyer's raved about
Well, he's
him.
another one. He's really talked him up, hasn't he?
And he's also been brutal and said basically, for a player of your quality, the figures you've returned in the first year and a half as a Southend player, season and a half, have been extremely poor. And I've been on the terraces seeing it, and it's always been his end product. It's been a little bit hit and miss. But so far this season, you can see he's played the games. He's sort of paramount and key to our intent and attack from the off. And I think obviously it helps that Dyer's more of a flair sort of mindset, attacking mindset. And there's no disrespect to Kev's sort of structure. We did score a lot of goals under Kev, but I think the mindset with Dyer is to, if you score two, we're going to get three or four. Do you know what I mean? That sort of attitude. You're not going to sort of necessarily play for the draw as such. We're going to go out with our attacking intent from the start. And we're obviously with the players off the bench as well. And I think Leon, he's bigged up a lot. Two big players there. Obviously, even Ollie Coker was in and out under Kev. But you're giving him the armband. You're playing him in a 6 or an 8 or a 10. He's got a couple of goals already. You got Leon with a sort of free roll off the left, and you got Ben Goodliff spraying balls left, right, and centre. So there's three players there of not necessarily regular players under Meyer. That's only 3 games, but looking totally different players and key to how we're going to set out every week.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from something else that I think Kieran's been very good at is he's kind of like speaking things into existence. And there was an interview, I believe it was in the Echo, with Harry Cardwell, saying that, you know, we as a group of players are now that we're really starting to buy into what the manager is delivering and what he's telling us. And it's like you walk into training every day and everybody around you is telling you with the biggest club in the league, we're going to win the league. And whilst it might, to an outsider, that might come across a bit cocky and a bit arrogant, but what he's doing there is he's making the players believe it. And if you can make those players feel like, yeah, hang on a minute, we are the best team in this league. We're already the biggest club in the league. We're the best team as well. So, and he's laid those foundations from day one. He said that in his first interview, and it's very difficult to sort of take too much from like the early seasons showings, because let's not forget we had a very, very successful start to last season. We
Yeah.
went on a good unbeaten run, a good winning run to start last season. So you have got to be careful that you don't get carried away with yourselves. But it's been a very encouraging 3 games, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting. I think some people were expecting this to take longer to gel than it has done.
Yeah, but this now comes, and like you said the other day, when the Solihull game, it's the first time after that good start we've had against him, the two sort of bogey sides we've had in recent years. The pressure now, especially with a promoted side tonight against Kidderminster. So you got the Monday game against Woking that are struggling. You're looking now after the Solihull 3 points. Again, the expectation now coming to Roots Hall tonight is that we're going to win, and we're going to win quite comfortably. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's been a brilliant start, but now all of a sudden the players have got to now understand that they are at this massive club, and all of a sudden it's gelled so quickly. The fans are now expecting it to get even better.
But now you've got like literally your second home game of the season. It's like, well, I'm expecting a win here.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is another one where sort of Kev did come unstuck a little bit. And, you know, everyone knows I'm a massive fan of what Kev did and what he did for the club. But the back end of last year, them Gateshead and Truro matches, the strugglers, the smaller clubs, without any disrespect, we couldn't break them down. And I think I remember speaking on one of the podcasts, maybe the one we did with after the Alexis one in the summer, that we're looking now against this sort of team Friday night. They may come and surprise us. They may come and play. If not, they'll come and sit behind the ball. But now we've got the front 5 or 6 players. They've all got that special individual talent that we can turn maybe a frustrating night where we're drawing 0-0 or 1-0 behind to these games that we've got to win these sort of games at home. Although it's only August, these are the sort of teams we have to fix the sort of.
If you're never mind if it's a promoted side or not, if you're trying to build a squad for promotion and build a squad to win the title, you've got to win your home games. Absolute non-negotiable. You've got to win your home games. And I always look at like instances like that, and I would think last season, if I was to look at York or Rochdale, even a Boreham Wood, when they played a promoted side from last season, that have blown them away. Like, for example, when Rochdale played Brackley, for example, they probably blew them away. Or you know what I'm getting at. You kind of you got to obviously like you play the game at face value. I'm not saying we become this team that has this complete cockiness and arrogance that you just turn up and you're going to steamroll someone just for turning up and just because you're playing for Southend. No, the application has still got to be there. But if it is, if we are bang on it as good as we can be from minute one, then there's absolutely no reason why we can't blow teams like this away. The solid defensive unit that we've got, the attacking prowess that we've got going forward with the likes of Leon, Josh Papula, Kamara, Rico Richards, who we've not even seen yet. I'm sure that Ryan Colclough, who's been coming off the bench and been a very, very like good impact sub for us, still working his way out to full fitness to start games. Combine that with Charlie Kendall and Harry Cardwell. Did I say Ollie Coker? He's pitched in with goals as well. Look at that, like those attacking players that we've got there. There's no reason why we shouldn't be coming away from a home game like this tonight, having seen a lot of goals.
No, I think it stems back to the days when we said like Gray, Eastwood, Gower. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. The amount of times we used to see games at Roots Hall where we'd win 2, 3, 4-0 each home game or scored an amount of goals. And I think, no, it's a lesser level. But I mean, the players you've mentioned there, you can just see the mindset. If we get a 1-0 up early on, we won't sit back on that. We would go for the 2, for the 3, for the 4. And I think there'll be a lot of times this season we should have done already. We should have got a couple of goals more at Altrincham. We missed some good chances there. Scunthorpe at home, definitely. We could have had another couple. And you're looking there already, the amount of goals we could have scored 3-4 goals every game so far. And I think he's come out as well as said we need 100 goals, we need 100 points. He's come out the last
We need
few weeks.
100 points. Like, we got 100 goals last season, and that's
Yeah.
still realistically that only got us 7th. Or 6th in the end. Were we 6th? Yeah, we were 6th, weren't we?
6th,
So
yeah.
You need well over 100 goals, but you need 100 points. The last 2 seasons have shown us that.
The amount of, do you know what I mean? There was sort of, again, he didn't use the word uncertainty amongst the fans or the unknown, wasn't it, in the summer? But the amount of it, once you sort of listen to him now, game after game or before a match, I noticed where his press conferences are a lot longer than May as well. I mean, they seem to get the journalists interested as well. Do you know what I mean? There's the excitement that when Kieron Dyer talks, you listen. And I think the players, I mean, if you're trying to sort of get a new player in the build on these sort of higher profile forwards that we're going after. If that was me and I was driving away from meeting Kieron Dyer or going to the training ground and meeting him, you'd want to work for him, wouldn't you? You want to play for him. You want to sort of is someone that believes in you and wants to play the right way. Because maybe we're getting a bit carried away 3 games in, but he set the foundation.
Oh, we're football fans, Scott. We're meant to get carried away.
Yeah, but it's just, but going to Roots Hall tonight now, people leaving work, driving there, or going to work this morning now before the game, they're excited to go again. They're excited. There's expectancy that we're gonna turn this team over 3, 4, 5 goals tonight, and that's not a.
And that's not to say, by the way, that's not to say if it's only like 1-0 tonight, it's been a poor game. We're not saying that. What I think we're saying is it feels exciting again right now. And there was a moment when Kieron, when he was talking at the season launch event. If you haven't listened to it yet, it is available on Spotify to go back and listen to it. But this is what I've said there, like, about like, the way that he talks about the players. Like, he speaks so passionately about them. I'm promise you, I'm not exaggerating. There was one point he got a bit emotional. Like he was speaking like so passionately about like the group of players that he's got and how much he loves working with them and how much he wants to develop players and like, develop the players he has. It's not always about going and signing new players. There's like, no, I'm a coach. I want to make you better. Like he was talking so passionately about it. He got a bit emotional, and I don't see how like a supporter can't watch that or hear that and think, yeah, this is why we've sold almost 9,000 tickets for this game tonight, because people are buying in.
And as well, I don't know if you've seen it on the socials, but it's time he's made, the effort he's made with the youth team, the under. Used to work at Primark a few years back, and she came into the store the other day with her 15-year-old son who's just signed a scholarship. And he said the very first day of this was the boy was speaking to me. He said the very first couple of days of joining the club, Kieron spoke to the academy and the age groups and gave them a clear pathway and a structure to the first team. And into what you were saying there about wanting to coach we've already got. He's a sort of big advocate. Obviously, he's done his switch at academy level, so he's got sort of background as well. And obviously, he's played at the highest level. He's probably been that senior pro with the young players at certain clubs. And it's nice to see there's going to be that connection from that youth team level and to the first team, as well as obviously bringing in players from outside. He wants to produce our own, obviously the Collins that have gone on and things like that. The football for us needs that development, and obviously the financial gain of producing our own players and the conveyor belt of talent coming through.
Well, this is the other thing as well that you mentioned there about like every club at this level, whether supporters want to hear this or not, I've got news for you. We're a selling club. Boreham Wood don't want to admit that yet, but I think they're about to, because they're in danger of just holding a player hostage. Anyway, we've spoken about it numerous times before on this podcast that in sort of the last 5 to 10 years, our resale value on players has been very, very poor. Players, like, they come to the end of their contract, they reach a certain age, they're like released, some even just retire. So it's just business now at the end of the day, that you've got to produce players, and I need to manufacture there. That was the complete wrong word to say. You've got to produce these players, and it's a constant pathway. And an example that we could use is the Harry Boys one, because a lot of players left over the summer. That's been well documented, but all of those guys had come to the end of their contract, and we were pretty powerless really to what they wanted to do. Especially those that went to a higher level, they're always going to do that when that opportunity comes for them. But Harry Boys was different. And Slavy Spazov as well, to be honest, because they were both under contract. So there's interest in that player. We've negotiated the sale of that player that we've profited on after only 1 year of having that, which is in football terms, a very, very quick return on your investment, particularly with Harry Boys, because naturally the transfer fee was significantly bigger than what Yeovil paid us for Slavy. But either way, that combined sum of money, not all of it goes back into the transfer kitty, I'm not saying that, but that is what now puts us in the market for a new forward. But without selling that player, the criticism is normally, oh, we're always left scraping the bottom of the barrel for whatever free agent that's left that no one else wants to sign. This is how we start to change that, by having a production line of players that at the right time and for the right price, you can cash in on them.
Yeah, and I think as well, we've been obviously in the past with the financial situation of the football club as well, that when there has been an offer come in, if it's been a measly offer, they've gone on the cheap and gone that, because we needed the cash injection immediately to carry on plugging that hole of financial, dire straits. So obviously, so actually now be running as a football club, the basic thing of the players getting paid and everything, we said we've got a bit more of a not hold over players in that way, but we're not going to just let these players go that we do.
We don't need to sell. There's a difference between negotiating the right deal for the player and the club, and both clubs, the buying club and the selling club. There's a big difference there between being this new model, the correct model, and having no choice but to take whatever offer comes your way in the 2019-2020 fire sale that we had, where everyone left. That was basically asset stripping the football club, wasn't it? Anyone that was worth anything left for an absolute pittance of what they were probably worth.
Yeah, as you said, this whole thing with the Boys thing is only had a year left in his contract anyway. Had a great season with us. He's gone back to his native Yorkshire. He's in a football league as well. We've got a decent amount of money for him, by all accounts, and we're not rushing to get this centre forward. Yeah, there's rumours flying around that we've got £3.5 a week for this big blockbuster centre forward. But whereas in years gone by, we would knee jerk and spend that money immediately to plug that gap that we need.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've Dyer's talking about, we've got Cardwell, who I think has been fantastic so far this season, which a lot of supporters were again unsure of at the start, given how his loan spell went.
But we were saying throughout the summer, weren't we, that he needed a good pre-season, like get himself, because he's since he left to go to Forest Green and that, he hasn't played a lot of football. He's probably struggled with injuries because of that, because he wasn't getting regular football, and he needed a big summer, and I think he's done that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and obviously two of the goals that Coke has scored have been made by Cardwell. Obviously, the Papula goal was from the shot from Cardwell, similar to what Coker's was at the weekend. He scored himself. He could have got another one against Scunthorpe, probably should have done. But he's been involved in 3 or 4 goals out of the first 3 matches. He's scored 3 goals in pre-season, 3 and 5 in pre-season. So, and as Dyer turned around and said, everyone's saying about this 15, 20 goal striker we need. If Cardwell carries on this ratio from pre-season and the first 3 games of
Yeah.
the year, he will be that. And we all know he's got a couple of years back. He was he got 15 goals if it weren't for his injury. He's a very he's a live wire. He's a sort of decent finisher as well. So we're not rushing. So with them other 4 or 5 players across that front line, we haven't got to rush and spend this £3,000 on this centre forward straight away per week. We're biding our time. Obviously, I know Dyer said about the transfer window, which is going to shut Monday on Tuesday, and then
The EFL transfer window shuts. Yes, I think is it like 1st of September or something. And
yes, I think when the bank holiday, they've got obviously I think it's midnight on the Tuesday after.
Right.
So, and he did say that we may have to wait that, but he's also said we may have to get him in before the bank holiday weekend with the 3 games in the week coming up. But
yeah,
there hasn't been the rush that since Harry Boyes has gone, we've spent that money immediately on someone. We're waiting for the right.
We had the Carl McAdam replacement in before that sale of Harry Boyes was actually sanctioned. That's what Shavaz was referring to that time when he said this is how a proper football club operates.
Right, yeah.
We've not sold a player
Left us short
and then gone, oh, what do we do now? So we got the replacement in. We probably got we spoke about this as well, a bit more of a traditional fullback replacement in, much like we have with Daly Campbell on the other side. There's a lot of things. It did end up making quite a lot of sense with that sale of Harry Boyes because much like Gus on the other side, no guarantees how that would have worked shifting from a back 5 into a back 4. He's gone to York, who play a back 5. So he's playing that same position that he had great success with us last season. No guarantees how that would have worked in a back 4. Exact same with Gus. Gone to Oldham, they're playing a back 5. So I think there was, and as you just said there a moment ago, he only had a year left on his contract, and if there was already a bit of I want to go back home conversation, that player's never signing a new contract here. So that would have been another player that come to the end of his contract and left on a free transfer. So we've cashed in a year before that happens and put ourselves in a very, very decent bit of profit. There's no way you can convince me that isn't just a smart way to do business. One thing that I have just I've had we'll go on and talk properly about the Solihull game now. I've just had it on in the background here, and I've just watched the Charlie Kendall goal again properly. I was down to the Blue Eagle on Saturday, watched it on the big screen. But you talk about players that had a bit of a stop-start season last season. Chaz was another one of them, in and out the team, had his long injury layoff, needed a big summer. I think he's another one that's gone away and done that. That's a brilliant goal, by the way. That's not an easy one. That keepers come up for the corner. You think that's a tap into an empty net. It ain't. He has like 3 or 4 of their defenders there absolutely bouncing off him. Like, he looks strong, he looks powerful, and he looks like a striker that's very hungry this season.
Oh, 100%. It's also got as well. I know it was sort of it wasn't an open goal, but it wasn't. It was with the amount of pressure. It was also on his weaker foot as well. I mean,
it was an open goal by the time he got there, but he had a good 40, 50-yard shoulder barge with a defender to get there.
And the thing is, he looks strong. I mean, he looks, as you said, looks hungry. And he could have quite easily. I mean, didn't play a lot of minutes in pre-season, especially in his favourite centre forward role. He's then come the first game of the season, played out on the wing, taken off from 55 minutes, and he's probably, he may be thinking, do you know, obviously there's rumours of centre forwards coming in. What is his role in this sort of team. Obviously, Scunthorpe came off the bench again, and then should have scored, missed a big chance. Do you know what I mean? There's already there's 2 or 3 little knockbacks already in 2 games, but then that chance there on the weekend came on, and he just sort of looked at it and he thought, "This is my moment. I'm going to take this and show what I'm all about." And you could see celebrate how much he loved it, and with the supporters, and so it was a easy finish in the end, but the work he put through and the strength he showed. So as you said, with 3 centre halves tugging at him and trying to close him down and pull him down. And again, the game wasn't won at that point. At 2-1, do you know what I mean? We didn't play fantastic as it's been well documented, and they were pushing. So I would push it all the second half. That was a huge moment. Obviously, won the game in the end because it was obviously the last kick of the match. But yeah, obviously he must be buzzing with that now, and he's now got a goal, same as Caldwell, and he's sort of level pecking and going into tonight's game.
Yeah, we got a number of players that have got themselves on the score sheet already, which I think is good because you want that from your forward players. So yeah, I guess that we may as well bring us on to tonight. I know we probably feel like we've glossed over the 3 games there, but if Scott and I were to sit here tonight and do a massive in-depth analysis on those 3 games, this would be a 3-hour episode. So we've sort of done a bit of an overview, a bit of a match report on each of them. By the time we next sit down to record, hopefully it will just be the 2 games that we're talking about over the bank holiday weekend. First of those, being tonight against Kidderminster at home, newly promoted sides. They always bring a little bit of uncertainty. You look at what the promoted sides done last season, Scunthorpe and Boreham Woods getting all the way to the playoffs. So promoted sides can cause you problems. They've obviously got promoted for a reason last season. There's, are they going to carry on that wave? What are you expecting from Kidderminster tonight, Scott?
I don't really fully know, to be honest with you. I think there could be 2 ways. They could come out and continue the sort of the confidence they had from last year and attack us. I'm probably fearing it'll probably be there'll be more sitting behind the ball a little bit and try and do us on the counter attack, which normally would worry me and under sort of a Mayor sort of side. But again, we keep trying to say we're not going to do comparisons, but it's hard not to. But I think
you keep doing it.
I think we'll see tonight a full attacking game from Southend. I think that we'll keep going, and I think with Oldacre as well in the midfield, I think he's got and Hartigan, to be fair, have got the eye for that sort of killer pass that will break down a low block, if you know what I mean. And I think we've got the individual talent with Leon, Kamara, Papula, and Colclough. We've mentioned them for quite a lot already about being big players for us this season. So I can only see quite a convincing and comfortable Southend win tonight, in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, to be honest. I'm expecting. I think they would be silly to come here and try and attack us. I think that would be
It's suicide, wouldn't it? I think that'd be
I think that'd be a mistake. Put it that way. And I think we'd rip them to shreds if they did that. And yeah, so I'm expecting them to try to frustrate us, to try and put a few more men behind the ball than maybe we've seen so far. Certainly a Scunthorpe than in the previous home game. Scunthorpe teams they're a bit more industrial, aren't they? But they will try and hit you on the counter. I wouldn't expect Kidderminster to necessarily try and hit us on the counter. I think they will try to frustrate, and probably anything they do try and play for will be offset pieces. I would expect a win. I expect us to ultimately have too much for them, and yeah, as you say, and break that down.
Yeah, I think as well. I think if it was maybe away from home at Kidderminster, there might be a different sort of structure from them. But I think coming to Roots Hall tonight with 9,000 plus fans going to be there
It's
under the
incredible, by
lights.
the way. That is
Unbe-
incredible, by the way.
Unbelievable.
National League. It's insane.
And you got to think as well. I know people say in the past there have been sort of teams like the Wrexhams, the Chesterfields that have big crowds, but you got to think 9,000 fans plus tonight. And Roots Hall, was it only hold 10.5 at the minute due to safety? I mean, that's literally.
Yeah, I think 10.5 is
I mean,
our
the
capacity.
percentage wise, we've sold to available tickets. I
We're
mean,
very
you
nearly
look.
sold out. We're probably very close to being sold out of home tickets. Like
Yeah.
what's left, that allocation will be away.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, 100%. And I think, as you say, I do think looking back now, they would be stupid to come out and attack us with that sort of. So 3 wins out of 3. We've scored 7 goals in 3 games. We're very attack minded, and I think, as I said, it'll be
Scott is desperate
novice.
to say that it's going to, but we're going to piss all over him. It's going to be really easy, but he doesn't want this to come back and bite him.
It could again, but I said, as you said, it might not be a 3-4, 5-0 win that a lot of fans are expecting, but we might scrape a 1-0.
It's the performance.
I think
It will be. Yeah, and the guys spoke about it in pre-season, where I think it was partly by design that we played a lot of teams during pre-season that were of a higher level than us, because we wanted to get used to not having as much of the ball, and almost that pissed us off a little bit. It's like, give us our ball back, so that when we do get the ball, it's like, now we're not wasting this now. So I think that playing those higher level teams in pre-season was definitely designed to do that. And then it was touched on when we played Aveley, the final pre-season game. Obviously, like, no disrespect, but these guys are a much lower level than what we have played in pre-season compared to a West Ham. Like, naturally, it's night and day, that the level that you're now playing an Aveley team. So we're expecting to completely dominate the ball in this Aveley game, whereas we weren't expecting to do that in the West Ham game. But both of those games, through playing very contrasting styles, we controlled the game in both of them. So I think you've seen evidence there. We can do both.
I mean, what are you sort of expecting tonight? Are you expecting too many changes? I know Dyer said he's literally going to potentially change the 11 or the formation.
I think
game by game.
Yeah, I think he'll rotate the forwards. I think he'll probably rest Harry Cardwell from the start. I would maybe expect to see Charlie Kendall come in to start in the number 9 role. I think we might see someone like a Lewis Twamley start. I think there'll be not too many more than that up top. And then he's mentioned about the rotation of Harry Taylor. That's the only one so far where it's looking a bit like where I said earlier, it's easy to keep the players happy that are in the team. How do you keep a player happy that's not in the team? And at the moment, it's a long season.
What do you make of that situation? Obviously, he's named him as his vice captain. He's part of this leadership group. So he played 150 odd games of suddenly he's come here and he's not seemingly fancied. I think that might, obviously, Dyer has shut them rumours down after the Altrincham game. He said obviously he didn't want the press to sort of stir that narrative up that there's been a fallout. He doesn't fancy him, this, that, and the other.
That's what I mean. I like, because he meets that. He doesn't wait for that question to be asked. He's like, I know you're going to ask me about Harry Taylor, so let me tell you. He gets there first, and I really.
Well, now, how do you think he must be feeling, Harry? Though obviously, he must be.
He was frustrated. Obviously, he's been a mainstay of the back 3, back 5, whatever you want to call it, for almost the last 3 years. I've said it before that I think the discovery of Harry Taylor as a centre back was probably the best thing to come out of our embargo era, because was not playing much as a centre midfielder in that first year, but then kind of because of injuries and didn't have enough players, we we lost Sean Hobson that particular summer. We couldn't sign a replacement for Sean Hobson due to the embargo. Harry Taylor starts the season at centre back. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to his Southend United career. Completely revitalised him, but it was always in a back three. So I think we're just in a bit of a transitional period now into how that eventually crosses over into a back four. I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about at this early stage of the season. There's obviously a reason why he's named him vice captain. I think if there was anything to it that I don't fancy him, he doesn't fit my back four, anything like that, there's no way you're naming that player vice captain.
Is your vice
So
captain? No, that's
I think it's just a bit of a transitional phase at the moment. Let's not forget he missed a bit of pre-season injuries, so he wasn't quite up to speed the same as the other players that play in that position. I wouldn't worry about it right now. It's a long season, and he's a good player, and he's like I said earlier about his desire to coach players. He might see a completely different role for Harry Taylor this season, and it's going to be a bit of a work in progress while he's being coached to do a different role. But I think the vice captaincy alone would be enough to say to me that there's no problem here. He's still very much a part of the plans.
And if he said the vice captaincy, if there's games he does play later in the year that Coker's not in the 11 for, he's probably going to be the club captain. So if there's any sort of doubt in the long term future, or for this season at least, you said he wouldn't be naming him as vice captain, would he?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I guess that kind of naturally brings us to the end of the episodes. Really looking forward to it tonight. As I said earlier, it's my first actual game of the season. It frustrates me a lot when like the away games come out at the start of the season. That's the couple of years in a row now we've started away, and yeah, it's a bit frustrating. But then August is a very busy month for me at home with birthdays. September's an even busier month for me this year because I'm getting married. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it tonight. And we're coming to it 9 points from 9, 3 wins, 7 goals. What is it? 2 conceded. Yeah, that's another chance to add to that tally. That's it from me. Scott, anything else to add?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. Looking forward to hopefully we just continue this good run of form, and excitement keeps building, because this place will be a real fortress this year if this feel good factor keeps going.
Yeah, I think so. And you don't need us to push it anymore. Let's pack out Roots All, because we're doing that naturally. Like phenomenal numbers, like season ticket numbers, the ticket sales for home games. We've sold out Woking. We've sold out our allocation for the away game on Monday. Just phenomenal support once again, as we know, and yeah, there's not a group of supporters out there. Yes, I'm biased, but there's not a group of supporters out there that deserve it more, and I think that's quite a nice way to wrap things up. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you after Woking. So we're going to have Kidderminster and Woking to talk about in the next one. But until that time, we'll leave you alone now, and we'll see you very soon.